We're recording this on Tuesday morning, and we'd be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about what happened Monday night in East Lansing on the campus of Michigan State. I'm wearing my Michigan State hat here this morning. You know, it's my second favorite school, but number one in my heart today. I mean, you know, here we go again, another mass shooting just down the road from where we're at. I mean, both my daughters graduated from Michigan State. My wife's having a real tough time this morning, you know, kind of it's all hit, you know, this
Mhm.
close to home. And I mean, how long are we going to, you know, have to keep putting up with this? You know, I don't know what the solution is, but you know, we had Oxford in Michigan, and now we got Michigan State. And, you know, Jared has friends probably still over at Michigan State. You know, it really hits home. It's just a terrible tragedy.
I think that's something when it we see these things sadly happen so often, but when it is closer to home, like you said, it kind of hits differently.
Yep.
And you brought up Oxford, and kind of I don't know what the right word is, a chilling kind of a picture I saw this morning was from last night. Some Michigan State students were gathered, probably where police had them, gather and shelter in place. And the picture was of students, they're on their phones and they're clearly like, what the heck is going on? And two of the students had Oxford Strong shirts on,
Hmm.
in honor, I guess, of the event that happened at Oxford. And it hit me like, this is just like it's just become a thing that happens in this country. And you got kids involved in an active shooter situation on their college campus wearing shirts honoring something that happened just down the road, not too long ago at a high school. And it's like, I've seen people share this tweet. Someone sent this tweet out like 5-6 years ago, after another mass shooting. And they said something along the lines of, when the event happened at Sandy Hook, when
Hmm.
children were killed at Sandy Hook, and that wasn't enough for people to make changes, I think that says it all right there. How
Yeah.
many times are we going to let this happen until we say, like, something needs to change? I
Right.
think people want an answer. There is no answer because, like you always hear people say, criminals are always going to find a way to get guns, or the bad guys are always going to find a way to get guns. And that's true, but I always think like they put speed limits out on the road for a reason, to try and help control, to make it safer on the road, to try and help people control their speeds, make it a little safer on the roads. Why is it so different when it comes to gun laws in this country? Like, if there is any way to make it safer for kids at school, for people at church, for people at malls, for people at concerts, to make it harder for people to get guns, why would we not want to do that? Yes, of course, bad people are going to still get guns and stuff like that. I think we all understand that. But if there is any way to make it harder for some of these wackos, for some of these people to get guns, I would think that would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It just seems like we are so far from bipartisanship in this country. Things are so divided. Ted, you've talked about that. You don't know if you've ever seen it this bad before.
No.
It just seems like one side of the aisle does not want to bend on this issue because it would be like they're giving in to the other side. They're going to
Well, and it's
stand their
money
ground.
involved too. Money involved in the
Money is
NRA and everything
involved,
else.
greed, all that stuff. And it's just like, there is no answer.
Right.
But if there's something we can do to try and stop one or two of these from happening, I don't see why we wouldn't do that. It's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, it really is. I don't everything you guys said. I'll just second it. I mean, people would point this wasn't an assault rifle. This case, it was a handgun. What's
Hmm.
weird to me about this one compared to other school shootings we've had, this is like a 43-year-old guy, which is
Right.
it's almost like because these school shootings have become so national news. It's like almost like it's become the new go-to like way to harm people, which is really crazy and sad to think about. It's just horrible. It's weird that it happens at Michigan State right after it happens in Oxford, and it's just it kind of is just like you're numb to it at this point, which is weird to say. It's just there's a new one of these stories. It seems like every couple months somewhere across the country. I don't know how we solve it. A
Well,
lot of people have different opinions how to solve it, and I don't know. It probably none of those opinions probably fully solve it. Probably still would happen. So it's just depressing. And it's sad.
part of how we can try to solve it is say what's on our mind. You know,
Yeah.
we have a platform here where we can talk about it, and I don't care about the people on the right side that, are NRA supporters and say, oh, well, guns kill people, not, or people kill people, not guns. Come on. Like you set up, Matt. I mean, you have to pass a test to drive a car, for crying out loud. I mean,
Right.
what is so wrong with stricter laws when it comes to gun control? I mean, it may not have prevented this one, because some of the initial reports I heard, this guy had no record. He got the weapons legally. There's
Right.
not much you can do about that, right? I mean, but some of these other cases with the automatic weapons and walking into classrooms, you mentioned Sandy Hook, and there's been so many different school shootings. My wife told me this morning, I don't know if it's an exact fact, but she said she had heard that this was the 67th mass
Mhm.
shooting in this country so far this year, and we're in
Yeah.
February. I mean, both sides of the aisle do have to get together on this. This is a
Right.
problem, okay? I'm on the side of, what in the hell are we doing? Why do we not have stronger gun control? Not take guns away, not take our rights away to own firearms. That's never going to happen, and I never want to see that. But we
Right.
got to have more stringent gun control laws, whether it's a longer waiting period before you get a weapon, whether it's deeper background checks, but something's got to change. I mean, we say this over and over and over, and it just seems to go on deaf ears.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the shame of it, is like everything you just said, it goes on deaf ears, because probably for a couple days it'll be in the
Yep.
news, and then we'll move on. I mean, even this morning, I got home from taking the kids to school. I turned on CNN to see if if there were any updates or anything like that, and they were on the press conference that was
Hmm.
happening in East Lansing. But then right after that, they move on to inflation and some other stuff happening in politics. And I I'm not necessarily that I expect him to stay on the story for the whole day or something, but it just made me think, this is how it is.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about it for a little bit, they're going to do their due diligence, I guess, and talk about it, but then they're going to move on to Chinese spy balloons and
Yeah.
some of this other stuff. And that's just how it is. People are going to send out thoughts and prayers. They're going to change their Facebook profile pic to Spartan Strong, or some of this other stuff. And then 2 days from now, it's going to be back to, Michigan and Michigan State basketball play this weekend. It'll be back on to stuff like that, or, stuff like that. And that's, I feel like, is part of the problem, is it kind of like you said it, Jared, or one of you did, how we've just become numb to it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it'll hit us like you guys talking about it. That's just down the road from you guys. So it hits differently, but almost in a sense, you move on because it just happens so often. I don't know how people don't see that there's a correlation with the US has the most guns out of any country in the world by a landslide. By a landslide. It's one of those graphs like US is over here, other countries are like way over here. And it's the same thing with mass shootings. You look at mass shootings in other developed countries, US is way over here and other countries, way down here. And it's like there's obviously a correlation. Like you said, Ted, by no means are people saying take guns away.
Right.
All guns off the streets, no guns, no guns. No, that's not realistic. One, because it's just not realistic. And then also, there's a lot of people, I would say the vast majority of people are responsible gun owners. We grew up, in mid Michigan, where
Hunting.
a lot of people are hunters. I mean, I never got into hunting, but we didn't have school on opening day for hunting, for a reason. So the vast majority of people are responsible gun owners. They store them properly, they handle them properly, they teach their kids, how to handle them properly, all that kind of stuff. If you're one of those people, you have nothing to worry about. You would still be able to get your guns, you would still be able to collect like you do, all that kind of stuff. I understand people that are interested in that. I have a lot of friends who hunt and collect guns and stuff like that. So I understand that. It's just to make it harder for the people who maybe have bad intentions or who have a record. Like you said, that it might make it harder for them to get them. Why would you not want that? What are you worried about if you are a responsible gun owner? What are you worried about with stricter gun laws? It wouldn't affect you. I don't understand how people can't come together on this. And
at least some sort, like, it's like how, like, just something. God, we're not asking you to like go in everybody's home and take every gun away.
Right.
And it's not, and I mean, we beating a dead horse. It's obviously not guns that, people do it. Like you said earlier, but something, do something, show that you're
Yeah.
trying to do something.
Yeah.
It's weird. And maybe the most eerie part about this is I was just actually in East Lansing this past weekend. First time going out there in a couple years with some buddies. And I was thinking as we went out Friday and had like brunch or whatever on Saturday morning, we were walking downtown and all these young kids like laughing, smiling. I was like, man, this place like it gives you a jolt of energy coming here. It's
Right.
like,
It does.
it's like, as one of my coworkers called it, a bubble. Like, it's just like, it's happiness, man. And it was fun being back in that situation. And it's just weird to think that it's just the total opposite a few days later.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah, 48 hours of nothing going on,
Right. It made me think kind of what you're saying, Jared. That campus is forever changed. I mean, those students that are there, they're never going to forget last night. Now, you always think like with certain things like, oh, this type of thing will never happen to me, whether it's maybe a health issue or, some certain tragedies. And then when it does, it kind of hits you like, oh man, I'm not immune to stuff like this. Michigan State's campus now is not immune to stuff like that. I have a coworker who went to Virginia Tech, and one of these things happened at Virginia Tech a few years ago or a handful of years ago. And she said it took weeks for kids to walk around campus, months, and like feel normal. That feeling that you're talking about, Jared, kids bopping around, with no worry in the world, like college kids usually are, She said it took weeks and months for it to get back to normal at Virginia Tech. And who knows, maybe it is now because it's been a little while and, it's cycled through some kids, some classes, I guess, but it's kind of like Oxford, the school there, that school's forever changed because of one wacko. And
well,
it's a
not
shame.
only that, Matt, it's the individuals. Just can you think about, these poor students that hear the shooting going on, are running for their lives, and what the long-term ramifications would be, like PTSD,
Right.
it's going to be with them the rest of their lives, nightmares and everything that goes along with it. So, I think we've all brought our points to the table here. We know something has to change, and a couple days down the road, damn it, nothing will change, which is unfortunate, and I guess we
shame.
just got to keep trying to push for it.